Hi, so in this video I'm gonna introduce one of my POC projects called Extendz. So Extendz is a small Angular library built on top of Angular material, which help us to generate UI for well-structured REST endpoints. So what do I mean by well-structured REST endpoints? Let me give you an example. So let's assume that I'm running a local REST endpoint at localhost 8080, and it's returning a set of addresses. So if I do a curl request to HTTP localhost 8080 API addresses, so it's gonna return me a list of addresses that's coming from this API. So this is a Spring Boot based backend. It's created using Spring Data REST. So you can see that it contains hypermedia as state of engine, or HATIOS for short. So if you have something like this, if you have a REST call that can that will return some sort of collection of data for a general or for a specific endpoint, and we have the same API call which add the ID to the end, and it will return a single record from the API. So we can assume that this is the pattern throughout the application. Of course, there can be a lot of other things as well, but I'm just saying this is for get request, and I assume this API is also accepting post request at this endpoint, which will create a new entry. And I also assume that for a single entry that we have, if we do a patch request or put request, this entry will get updated, or if we do a delete request, this entry might get deleted. So that is kind of like the basic well structured API architecture that I'm hoping that that is created via some sort of backend API. So if you have something like that, a well structured API, then what Extend does, it can create a simple UI for your need. For example, the address example that I have shown right now. So this is all of these are generated code. So there is a JSON file in the library itself. We have to define these things. Once you define all the necessary basic information regarding this endpoint, it will give you an entry like this in the home screen. I call it the API root. Once you are in the API root and you have done the basic configuration with the JSON file I mentioned, then immediately once you click on this address, it will go to the next component, if I may say. It is called the data table component. So what it does is it will automatically call the REST endpoint that we have already defined, and it will bring back all the records in here. Okay, if it supports pagination, it will be automatically added. If it supports search, it will be added, and so on and so forth. This data table that we are seeing here, it is automatically generated whenever you do a change on the JSON file I mentioned earlier. It will automatically get reflected on this table as well. So I'll go high level on this each each of these three main components. Then in next videos I will go in much deeper how to customize, how we can utilize this. So the third view that I want to show is the update create sort of view. So you have two options. You can create the add new button for adding something new, or you can click the edit button for a specific record, so you can do some modification on this. So let me go with the first one is the add one. So if you create the add button over here, you will get into a new screen. This is also auto generated from the JSON that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So what I have to do is I can type on the fields in here, and you can see that I have put some validations on these UI components. For example, line 1 is required, line 2 is not, but CT is required. Those sort of validations, those are also generated automatically. You don't have to do any UI coding on that. Let me do a quick demo on creating a new address. Let's say line 1 is test line 1, and we can say test line 2. For the next one, the city, I can put Colombo, and these are just basic text input, but it's not limited to basic text input. You can have something like checkboxes, maybe selectors. There are plenty of other UI component that is implemented. Right now we have few input fields and checkboxes. Let me just have these checked, and once I hit save, you take a look at this URL structure. Now I am in address new section. Once I hit save, there is going to be a toast message saying okay, that is created. Now you can see it's automatically changed to the newly created address URL. So the ID is itself AADD and a random number followed by. So this record is created right now. If I go back again, now you can see the newly created record is over here. So I can go and edit. Let's say I want to say test line 2 added, something like that. Now since I am updating something, it's gonna automatically not gonna save it, but it's gonna say updated. So I have updated that. Immediately you can see these things in action. So you don't have to write a lot of code to generate this view. I will demonstrate later on, but remember, everything that you saw up until now is totally not hard-coded HTML, but via a simple JSON file you can create this beautiful UI. Even you can customize these things. It is not limited to these width or these colors and all those things. Those things can be customized. So let me go to another example. Like there is another endpoint called categories. You can see underline, it is mentioned here. So I assume that the categories API is following the same rules that followed by the address API. So if I go to categories, you can see there's no categories found. I can create a category, and you can see that rather than going to a new page, we have a dialog pops up. There can be several ways of creating. Either you can choose, okay, I don't need a separate page or something like that. I can specifically say in the JSON file, please don't go to a new page, just give us a pop-up, which will be more easy to add rather than going to another page. For this purpose, I have a dialog popped up, so I can easily put something in here. Let's say test category, and I can say if the description is required, I have to give the test description, whatever the description. Okay, and if I'm done, I can simply hit create. Now you can see it immediately popped up here. Now you can see that even though the name is displayed, the description that I have given is not displayed. That is by choice. I can customize what I can see in this data table. Okay, if I say okay, I don't want to show the description, I just want to show the name, you can do that. All of those things are in the JSON file I mentioned earlier. So that is another example. As you can guess, there is another API called currencies. Already I have something. I can either edit. You can see that it's not popping up. It's gonna give us a new page, but that is also customizable. As you can see, if you don't want to go to a new page, just pop up a dialog and show it. You can obviously do that. And let's go for a more of a advanced example. For example, there is API called products. Now I have created a sample product in here that you can see that there's a test product and image is there. If there is no images provided by this product, it's gonna fall back to a default image. Let me create a new product and see what we can do. So you can see that there are more fields that I need to fill in. So I can I need to provide a name, a description, category, and unit price, those kind of things. So there are as I mentioned earlier, there are more than it's more than just basic string or number inputs. Okay, for example, this product and the category, it has a one-to-one relationship or a one-to-one mapping between those two. So there is a special way of that we can add a category for a product. For example, there is this, I call these selection component. So rather than I can either create a category directly from here, that is possible, or I can select a category which is already created by simply clicking this more button and go to the search, and you can see all the categories that we have created. Earlier I have created this test category. I can click on it and hit OK. It will be selected as the category for this test product. Okay, so I will give another name. I might say flower as the name, and you can see that there are other components, like if you have something related to pricing and all those things, there are pricing components available, which you can see a currency selected. By default, if you have only one currency, it will be selected, but if you have multiple currencies, those things will be automatically populated here. So but you have to give an endpoint where you can fetch these things. Those things can be configured via the library, but for now you can just assume that there is only one currency here and it is selected. So you can provide whatever the number that you like, and there is number related ones. So in these fields, it's only accepting numbers. You can't put strings over here. And there is unit of measurements kind of components. It's same like to monetary. You can have something like weights or maybe a unit of measurements that of your choice. So those things can be configured easily, no issues. And even you can see that this name input field, it is like compared it is like taking 1/4 of this width, and you can see the note field right on the bottom. it takes like 100%. So this is also intended. You can customize how much the width of this field and how much width this node field gonna be. So those all are configurable. You can simply say, okay, node field, it should have 100% of width, so it will generate like this. By simply you can change that and the UI will automatically update. And I want to show you another cool widget, oh sorry, a cool component, that is the image uploader. I can say, okay, there's going to be an image for this product, and you have to mention, okay, this is going to be an image, like as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a string, this is going to be a number, this is going to be something related to money, this is going to be a something related to image. So I can click on it and I can select an image, open, and it will give you a small preview of it. And in and automatically when I save this, it will, what it does, it will create the these entity or this product. You can see that new product ID is updated, and it will upload the image soon after this is created. Now if you go back, you can see that nice image is here. You can go and edit, you can see it is still there. And these are like a few of the components that I have developed, and there are more than these. Like there can be a tabular views, there's matrix views. So I'm not gonna overcomplicate this video regarding all the components that I have. So just want to say there are possible ways of developing other components as well. There is a small guide how you can develop your own components. So this is in a level of POC, which is currently supporting Angular 9, 10 and 11, on the way of updating this to Angular 12. So basically the JSON file I am talking about, I can give a small preview or a small introduction to it as well. So you can see that the entities that I see, the API endpoints that I see in here, those are JSON objects in this JSON file. So let me give you a brief example of this address. Right, what we have seen here, you can see that address has a name and a display name. So name is just a unique name out of these several objects that we have found here. So I can customize these by saying, okay, rather than saying address, I can say address capital with capital A. Likewise, there can be customization to this name right here, what we see. So there's the URL. I will talk about title in a little bit. Right now, the URL that's gonna be showing in here, I have to mention this is gonna be the URL for the application. Right now my whole application have a prefix of the HTTP localhost 8080 and API. This library is using HTTP client module. So whatever the HTTP client changes or the interceptors that I have put, it will honor that. So basically I have configured saying HTTP was 8080 to be append to all of my requests. Then afterwards it will be calling this address. So this is the REST endpoint that I am interested in. Then the next part is this properties section. So I have to define each and every property which I can find on address. For example, you can remember there is line 1 property there. So I have to define line 1, and the type, it is a type of string, whether it is required or not, and you can define a width, the UI width for the property itself. You can see that it is we can give the property width for different screen resolution. Now I am targeting the large screen resolution, and it's gonna take 48%. Okay, so line number 2, it's the same. So we have line number 2, type the type is string, and width is whatever you like for the given resolution. So city follows the same. Delivery, now you can see rather than it's on a string, it is a checkbox. So if you define the type checkbox here, it won't give you an input field to type in, but a simple checkbox to put a tick on. So this is like the basic UI. Now if I may, I can show you a little bit of change that I can do. For example, I might think, oh no, I think line number 1 over here, it need more space. So what I can do is I'll say, okay, line number 1 for width, it's 48%, I need 100%. If I hit save, now you can see it immediately put line number 1 to 100% of width, and line number 2 and city will adjust itself according to the specification. So I will undo that. If I say 48%, it will automatically generate line number 1 with the input field which will be 48% in width. Okay, so this is like a POC, as I mentioned earlier. It's perfectly working, and I am trying to implement and improve this library to the next iteration. On the next iteration, there's going to be a lot of changes. Right now I just want to express what I have accomplished so far, and what's going to be the future. So this library is fully open source. It's on GitHub. I will put a link below in the video description, and you guys can, as I mentioned earlier, it is really pre-alpha. Your feedbacks, your comments on this, what sort of challenges that I might face, and what sort of components that you guys need or I can develop. I'm gonna do that in a more thorough video. This is just a basic introduction for this library. Yeah, that's it. Right now I will stop this video, and I will go get back to you guys on more thorough reviews, like more other components, how we can develop, how the search works, all those things in a later video. For right now, thank you for watching. See you next time.